Okay, let's see what we have. We have leftover ground beef. We have leftover chicken, leftover gravy. We have a leftover pasta. I think that was a hamburger helper. What else is left over? Leftover. We got a little bit of a leftover taco bake. And I don't know what that is. A little bit leftover chopped meat again. So that's just what I can see. Looks like something's up there. And the rest looks like regular stuff, but we are gonna figure out what we can do and how we can have some free food. Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my home. We're gonna chat today about food. Who doesn't like free food? Have you ever thought about where you could get some free food? So we're gonna be a little creative. I took you for a little stroll through my freezer. That's the top freezer of my refrigerator. It's getting pretty full to the point where I can't really fit a whole lot. So I think that means it's time to clean it out and use it up. And we forget, I forget, and I've had people say the same thing, that we get so engrossed in buy food, save food, plan for the future, stockpile, gotta have all the things, and you know, your mind is on that, and then you're like, oh, you gotta take a canned good out, and you're like, oh, I have to replace this if I use it. Okay, to a point, we need to be diligent about that, but there comes a point where we need to eat our food. Food will go bad and food will go funny and all the rest. Even when you put it in the freezer, it can't stay there forever. Yes, it preserves it for a very long time, but you know, you get the freezer burn, you get all the stuff, yada, yada, yada. So to me, leftovers is free food. And let me explain. Sorry if you hear that airplane going overhead there. We got the windows open, beautiful day here in New Jersey. So to me, I grew up with not having leftovers. My mom does not like leftovers at all. Her mother raised them on always trying to have leftovers because that was her way of stretching it. She would take what was left over, add more to it, and stretch it into another meal. My mom, I guess because she grew up that way, didn't like leftovers, so we never had it. She made just enough for that meal, and that was it. And my dad and I used to say, aren't there any leftovers? And she'd say, nope. My husband grew up on leftovers and loves going in the refrigerator, late night snack, and finding what's in there, the little bit of leftovers. Well, sometimes when I make a meal, sometimes, not always, I try and make enough that we have for that meal and like for a lunch, let's say. And a lot of times I'll have for 2 dinners and a lunch. There's only 3 of us, so if I make a family-size meal, we'll get 2 dinners and a lunch out of it. And then you get just a little bit left that, is it worth saving? What do I do with it? It's worth saving. When times are lean or you need a quick meal that you don't have to fuss over, these types of leftovers that you have in your freezer can be your best friend. I look at it this way. It's free food. Why is it free? Well, I've already purchased the products that I needed, the food items. I've already cooked it. I've already spent the time preparing and prepping for that delicious first meal we got out of it. Then maybe I got a second dinner out of it. That's even better. Sometimes I've gotten an extra lunch out of it. That's great. 3 out of the 1. And then I have this little bit left over and you think, is it worth it? Yes, it is worth it. You figure by the time you come to this point, you have well used your money that the time and money that's spent into purchasing that, prepping that item, and so on, that's been used up. So this little bit that's left over and that you've stashed in the freezer, this is free food. This is free food. So this is food that you can use when the budget's tight, where you just don't have time, or you just can't be bothered. It's your day off and you don't feel like, sitting in the kitchen cooking all day. You can use these items up. So now, like I said, my mom wasn't big on leftovers. And maybe you're in the same boat. You're like, oh, I grew up on leftovers, or I'm so sick of eating leftovers. So maybe you just have to change it up a little bit. So this is homemade hamburger helper. And yes, I have a video. It will be coming out, but I want to use up what I have first before I make another batch. So this is homemade hamburger helper. We've had it now twice. Kind of like, do we want it again? What can I do with that? How can I make it better? Well, I think if I serve this and we put a nice green salad on the side of it, or some fresh sliced tomatoes and cucumbers and celery and some olives, and do just like a nice fresh salad on the side, that would be quite nice. I have some pretzel rolls that I want to use up. I could put a little butter and some garlic powder on it, or even some fresh crushed garlic, and do some garlic rolls, and add some garlic rolls and a fresh veggies or a fresh salad to this. That would do it quite nicely for another meal. I could also just add a nice side of broccoli to this, and we could do some homemade biscuits, or even the canned biscuits would be nice. I think that would be quite nice as well. You could add any of your favorite vegetables, anything you want. I think when we use leftovers, a lot of times we have the mindset of we have to use it as it was. But try and change it up. So I have a bag of leftover buffalo chicken here, and it's getting a little freezer burn on it. So we're gonna wanna use that up. I could slice that up and use that in a nice green salad for lunch. Wouldn't that be great, with some ranch avocado salad dressing on top? Now we're talking. Or I also had pasta left over from last night. I could cut this up and I can use that with the pasta and just do plain pasta, maybe with a little olive oil and garlic. Throw the chicken in there, maybe grab some peas. I have some frozen peas, or even a can of peas, and throw that in there as well. Stir that up and make a nice stir-fry type pasta dish. What else could I do with this? Well, I'll tell you one thing that I've done before, and it's always amazing. If you ever get General Chow's chicken, you ever get that from the Chinese, if you get Chinese takeout? Well, our Walmart, I don't know if all Walmarts have it, but our Walmart has a deli and like a hot section, and they have General Chow chicken there. It's nothing like I've ever had. It's nothing like when you go to the Chinese restaurant. It's all white meat, and let me tell you, it is absolutely delicious. Well, I always buy a large container whenever I can, and they always run out. I try and buy a large container, put that with some sticky rice and a nice fresh vegetable. Oh my goodness, my husband and I are in glory. But I have made soup with that. And I've done the same thing with this buffalo chicken. This is buffalo chicken you get at Aldi. And I cut it up, and I get bouillon, some water, some of the chicken, whether it's the General chicken or it's the buffalo chicken, and they both have kick to it. So if you're not really into spicy, I know people in my family that are not into spicy, but you cut this up small and you put it in some bouillon and some water, and you add some vegetables and any other leftovers you have, leftover pasta, rice, noodles, vegetables, tomatoes, onions, whatever you have, and you just make a quick homemade pot of soup. All of a sudden, that chicken is that little hot and spicy, is toned down by all the flavors in the bouillon, but yet the flavors from that chicken just enhance the flavor of that soup. Every time I've made it, somebody has said to me, what is in this soup? It is the best chicken I've ever had. So don't tell anybody my secret, but General chicken or buffalo chicken like this, cut up into small pieces, makes the best pot of soup. Now here's something else. I got a little bit of it. It was a taco bake. A little bit of a taco bake. What in the world could I do with this? Same thing. You can warm this up, and what could you do? You could put it over some rice. You could put it, if you don't like rice, put it over noodles. You don't like noodles, then, you know, maybe put it over some bread, or put it over a salad and maybe make a taco salad for yourself. I also actually have another idea. So this would be about a serving for one for my husband. But I want to spread this out, and I want to actually turn this into a meal for 3 to 6 people. How would I do that with this one small container of taco bake? Serving for one and turn it into a serving for 6. That's a good question, isn't it? Well, I got a video up and coming on that. You'll have to stay tuned and see what I do with this leftover free food, which would be an amount for one person in a regular meal, but we're going to turn it into a meal that could accommodate up to 6 people. I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you have that's free in your freezer that is leftovers from something that you've made and just stuck away, and you're like, you know what? I do have a few things in my freezer that I could use up. And you're absolutely right. That is free food that I could be using up, and that can save on the budget. So if you're looking for cheap and frugal and, you know, how to create meals that are inexpensive during hard times like this, when the prices are going up, look to the freezer and look and see what you have in there that you would say, I've used already, but now it's free, and all I have to do is add a few extras to it. Thanks for coming over. We'll catch you all on the next video.